I get a call from my manager and they were both on the line, which means it's something serious. Either you got the job or there's something.
I mean, I have two other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much. But
he was, after I gave birth, he was like, oh my gosh, if I lost you and I, went to the park with our 3 kids, I mean, think of the ladies I can.
The phone rang and the air in the room instantly turned cold. It wasn't just a casual check-in from a friend. It was a call from his manager associate, and the tone was unmistakable. Something was very wrong. This wasn't the celebratory you got the job call everyone expects in the glitz of Hollywood. Instead, it was the first tremor of a massive earthquake that would eventually crack the foundation of one of the year's biggest film adaptations. Justin Baldoni sat there listening as the professional boundaries he thought were secure began to dissolve in real time. This single conversation would ignite a firestorm of rumors, recorded leaks, and a public fallout that nobody saw coming, leaving the industry wondering how a project about healing could lead to such a public and messy fracturing.
So like in the beginning, our oldest is like loving on her and she's like very maternal, and then our middle daughter is just like, just keeps away from me.
Really important book, and it's about a young woman named Lily who confronts the...
For weeks, the industry has been buzzing about what really happened between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively on the set of their hit adaptation. What started as a promising collaboration between a visionary director and a powerhouse actress quickly devolved into a series of sharp disagreements that couldn't stay behind closed doors. The reports started surfacing about conflicting creative visions, but it wasn't until the mention of a specific phone call that things got truly messy. Fans noticed the distance between the stars during the press tour, and the silence from Justin's camp was deafening. It wasn't just a typical creative difference, it was a total breakdown of professional trust that left the entire production in a state of absolute chaos, with rumors of hidden recordings and secret meetings circulating through every major studio.
That's kind of amazing, so you have something of Gigi's in the movie.
Yeah, it's like a wedding, like something old, something borrowed, something blue, or something.
The core of the drama seems to stem from a fundamental clash over how the story should be told. On one side, you have reports of an approach that wanted to maintain the raw emotional fidelity of the original book, focusing on the heavy themes of survival and growth. On the other side, a different vision was pushing for a more contemporary, perhaps even comedic tone to appeal to a broader audience. This wasn't just a small debate over a few lines of dialogue, it was a battle for the soul of the film. When you have 2 major stars with massive influence, these creative tug-of-wars can turn ugly fast. As the production moved forward, the whispers of tension grew into loud reports of formal complaints, and a set that felt more like a battlefield than a creative sanctuary for the actors involved. The plot thickened when the name Ryan Reynolds started appearing in the mix. While not officially credited in a production capacity, rumors began to swirl that he had a significant influence over the tonal shifts of the movie. Some sources claim his input on comedic rewrites and marketing strategies started to overshadow the director's original intent. This added a whole new layer of complexity to the drama. Was this a case of a superstar couple taking over a project, or was it a necessary intervention to ensure the film's commercial success? The online community exploded with theories, especially as reports of a recorded phone call began to surface. People wanted to know if this supposed recording held the proof of a coordinated effort to sideline the director and change the project's DNA. One of the most bizarre details to emerge from the chaos involves the wardrobe choices on set. Blake Lively reportedly used clothes from her famous friend Gigi Hadid for the movie, including a piece that was described as something old, something borrowed, and something blue for a wedding scene. While this might seem like a fun trivia fact, it actually became a flashpoint in the discussion about creative control. Critics of the production suggested that these personal touches were part of a broader move toward a lighter, more fashion-forward aesthetic that clashed with the gritty reality of the source material. It highlighted the growing divide between those who wanted a serious drama and those who wanted a stylish, modern blockbuster. The gap between these two visions seemed to grow wider with every day of filming. As the narrative spread, the reputations of everyone involved were put under a microscope. Justin Baldoni, known for his deep emotional connection to his projects, found himself in a difficult position. How do you defend your artistic vision when you're up against some of the biggest names in the business? Reports suggest that tensions eventually escalated into formal complaints regarding on-set decision-making. There were assertions that earlier decisions had been made by mutual agreement, only for those interpretations to change significantly during the post-production process. This wasn't just a he said, she said situation anymore. It was a documented conflict involving legal teams and production representatives who were desperately trying to manage the fallout. At the center of this swirling storm is the alleged recorded conversation. Depending on who you ask, this recording is either a smoking gun or a complete misunderstanding. Some sources describe the exchange as a professional discussion about responsibility and influence that was taken out of context. Others suggest the tone was much more confrontational, providing evidence of a deep-seated misunderstanding about who was actually in charge. The problem with these kinds of leaks is that without the full, unedited context, they can be interpreted in a dozen different ways. This uncertainty has only fueled the fire on social media, where fans are dissecting every word and every pause to figure out who is telling the truth and who is trying to spin the narrative to save their image. In the high-stakes world of Hollywood, these kinds of disputes are usually handled behind closed doors with ironclad non-disclosure agreements, but this time, the lid was blown off. The situation has been framed as a broader creative and professional conflict, rather than just one single incident. Media coverage has been relentless, with audience commentary swinging wildly from one side to the other. Industry observers have noted that without full, verified context, public perception can shift in an instant. This ongoing discussion reflects a larger pattern in the entertainment industry, where legal processes and public opinion often collide. It's a delicate dance between maintaining a professional reputation and dealing with the very real emotions that come with a creative project. Adding another layer of intrigue are Justin's own comments about his family life during this period. In a candid interview, he talked about his 3 children and how they were reacting to his work. He even joked about a conversation with his wife after she gave birth, where he teased her about how many ladies he could attract at the park if he were a single dad with 3 kids. While clearly meant as a lighthearted joke, in the context of the brewing drama, every public statement was being scrutinized for hidden meanings. People were looking for any sign of stress or any clue about his state of mind. It shows just how intense the spotlight becomes when a major production starts to unravel, turning even innocent family anecdotes into potential pieces of a much larger puzzle. The contrast between the beginning of the project and its current state is staggering. When the adaptation was first announced, fans were ecstatic. It was a best-selling novel with a massive following, and the pairing of Baldoni and Lively seemed like a dream come true. The project was discussed as a potential major success with strong industry anticipation, but as the creative disagreements began to leak, that excitement shifted into uncertainty. The original promise of the film started to fade as the focus moved away from the story of Billy and her emotional journey and toward the backstage infighting. It's a classic Hollywood cautionary tale about what happens when the magic behind the scenes disappears and is replaced by contractual disputes and clashing egos. One of the most persistent theories circulating in online spaces is the idea of a coordinated setup. Some commentators have suggested that the drama was intentionally amplified or even orchestrated to create buzz for the film, though most insiders dismiss this as baseless speculation. However, the fact that such a theory even exists shows how cynical the audience has become. They see the conflicting reports, the unverified recordings, and the sudden distance between the stars, and they assume there must be a hidden agenda. In reality, the situation seems much more like a natural evolution of a high-pressure production where 2 strong-willed individuals simply couldn't find a middle ground. The result is a layered and often contradictory understanding of what really happened. Legal experts have pointed out that in cases like this, documentation is everything. While the public is focused on the drama and the rumors, the real battle is happening through legal filings and internal communications. This distinction often leads to a massive gap between how the public perceives the situation and how it is being handled internally. While we see the headlines about phone call drama, the lawyers are looking at contractual clarity and risk management. Earlier interpretations of events are frequently revisited and reassessed as more information becomes available. This doesn't necessarily mean anyone did anything wrong, but it shows how a narrative can change as it moves from the court of public opinion to the actual legal system. The role of social circles and industry connections cannot be ignored either. With names like Gigi Hadid being mentioned, it's clear that this conflict reached far beyond the set of the movie. These peripheral rumors often distract from the central dispute, but they also provide context for the kind of environment the film was made in. When you have high-profile figures involved, their entire social ecosystem becomes part of the story. This makes it even harder to separate fact from allegation, especially for an audience following the developments in real time. Media narratives tend to simplify these complex webs into easy-to-digest summaries, which can often amplify the perceived conflict far beyond the underlying documented material. As the situation continues to evolve, the focus has shifted toward how this controversy will affect the project's long-term viability. Can a movie survive this kind of negative press, or will the drama overshadow the message of the story? Some argue that the intense public debate might actually help at the box office by keeping the film in the headlines. Others worry that the core audience, who loved the book for its emotional depth, will feel alienated by the reports of creative interference. Producers and stakeholders are likely in full damage control mode, prioritizing audience confidence and trying to stabilize the project. It's a high-stakes game of narrative control where every statement and every leak could have a multi-million-dollar impact. The alleged recorded conversation remains the most significant piece of the puzzle that has yet to be fully revealed. Questions about its authenticity and whether it was edited or presented without context continue to linger. If the recording is real, it could change everything. But if it's incomplete or misleading, it could just be another distraction. Legal observers caution that audio material requires careful verification before any conclusions can be drawn. In the fast-moving news cycle of the entertainment world, these details often get lost in the rush to find a villain. Both sides are expected to challenge how this material is interpreted, leading to an environment where the truth feels more elusive than ever. Despite the chaos, there are those who defend the creative direction of the project, arguing that the changes were necessary to make the story work on screen. They point to the success of other adaptations that took liberties with the source material to reach a wider audience. But for the purists, any departure from the original tone feels like a betrayal. This division has intensified the online discussion, with fans taking sides and defending their favorite stars. It's a fascinating look at how modern entertainment controversies unfold in the age of social media, where everyone has an opinion and partial information can be used to build an entire narrative. The complexity of the situation is a reflection of the high-pressure environment of a major film. Justin Baldoni's reaction to the entire ordeal has been one of measured silence, at least publicly. While reports of his frustration have circulated, he has largely avoided engaging in a public war of words. This strategy can be interpreted in two ways. Either he's taking the high road to protect the project, or he's being silenced by legal constraints. Either way, his absence from the traditional promotional cycle has spoken volumes. When the director of a major film isn't standing side by side with his lead star, people are going to ask questions. His choice to focus on his family and his other projects suggests a desire to move past the drama, even as the headlines continue to pull him back into the center of the storm. The involvement of Ryan Reynolds remains one of the most debated aspects of the story. Some reports suggest his influence was purely informal, a supportive husband helping his wife navigate a difficult production. Others claim he was the driving force behind the tonal changes that led to the conflict. Without a confirmed report, this remains one of the more speculative parts of the narrative. However, it highlights the power dynamics at play when two of Hollywood's biggest stars are involved in a project. It's a reminder that creative decisions are rarely made in a vacuum, and that personal relationships can often have a massive impact on professional outcomes, for better or for worse. As the dust begins to settle, analysts are looking at what this means for the future of creative collaborations in Hollywood. When a project experiences this level of sustained media attention and internal conflict, it serves as a wake-up call for studios and producers. There will likely be a renewed focus on risk management and clearer contractual boundaries to prevent this kind of public meltdown in the future. The situation illustrates how quickly a production can get out of hand when communication breaks down and creative visions diverge. It's a reminder that even the most promising projects can be derailed by the very people who are trying to make them a success, leaving a trail of questions and a divided audience. The story of the phone call and the creative clash is still developing, and new information could emerge at any time. Earlier assumptions are frequently revisited as new context becomes available through filings or further reporting. This process of narrative evolution is natural in high-profile cases, but it makes it incredibly difficult for the public to know what to believe. What we have right now is a layered record shaped by statements, commentary, and a few key pieces of disputed evidence. Over time, the focus will likely shift from these early interpretations to a more verifiable record of events. But for now, the situation remains fluid, with both sides presenting competing versions of what happened behind the scenes. The impact on the film's original themes is perhaps the most tragic part of the whole controversy. The story was meant to be about connection, growth, and confronting difficult truths. Instead, it has become a story about conflict, ego, and professional disputes. The magic of the source material, which resonated with millions of readers, feels like it's being overshadowed by the very real-world drama of its creation. While the film may still be a commercial success, its legacy will always be tied to this period of intense scrutiny and public debate. For many fans, the real story isn't what's on the screen, but what happened in the rooms where the decisions were made and the phone calls were recorded. Ultimately, the situation reflects the intersection of creative differences, legal considerations, and public interpretation. In the modern era, an entertainment dispute isn't just about the work itself, it's about the narrative that surrounds it. The result is a layered and sometimes contradictory understanding of events that reflects both documented material and broader social commentary. Clarity often emerges gradually rather than immediately, as stakeholders and audiences reassess their earlier assumptions. As more details potentially emerge through official channels, the public will continue to debate who was right and who was wrong. It's a complex puzzle with many moving parts, and we're only just beginning to see how it all fits together. The final lesson from this drama is that in Hollywood, the story behind the movie is often just as dramatic as the one on the screen. The conflict between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, the rumors of the phone call, and the influence of outside figures like Ryan Reynolds have created a narrative that will be discussed for years to come. It serves as a stark reminder of the challenges of bringing a beloved book to life and the personal costs that can come with a high-profile creative project. As the industry continues to analyze this case, one thing is certain: the truth is rarely simple, and in the world of big-budget filmmaking, the drama doesn't always end when the cameras stop rolling.